everyone. Welcome back to the main event. You're here with me, Daniel.
And Aaron.
Aaron, excited to be back. And are you excited from a scale of 1 to 10 that NSYNC have got back together?
I would say that one's an 8. Yeah. Solid 8. That's mostly because my wife loves NSYNC.
Well, are you going to try and get tickets for them on a ballot of any kind?
I've seen Backstreet Boys live, so why not? Yeah.
Right, we're not going to see anyone. I'm really sorry, guys. Turn up. Where? When?
So I saw them in Manchester. So it turns out that Muse were playing on the same weekend, and so it was a fair trade. Steph goes to see Muse with me. I see Backstreet Boys with her. I won't say which one I preferred.
Did they mime or did they actually
sing? Yeah. They so originally they used to be an a cappella group.
Did they really?
Yeah, and so they actually did a few a cappella songs that they used to do, which hadn't been released, and they are really good.
Oh, fair enough. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it would be absolute trash. I love it.
They had all the dancers as well, so they were like all in sync.
Are you the sixth member? No, it was Backstreet Boys, mate, not NSYNC. You're getting too excited. Were you the sixth member?
On the night, I felt like it.
Yeah. So has Steph been really, really excited for it?
Sorry,
I honestly didn't mean for it to come out like this.
No, I don't know if she's not mentioned anything to me, so it's probably me going to be breaking the news to her, to be fair. So
yeah.
She'll be excited, and she'll probably want tickets.
Yeah, don't mention it then.
Thank you for that.
No, don't watch.
I might trade, be like Newcastle Champions League tickets, NSYNC tickets.
But you win both times there, Aaron. You're the winner on both occasions.
I'll make it sound like I'm losing.
Yeah, make it sound like. Oh, I really don't want to see Justin Trouser Snake live. Aaron, how was your week last week with the Champions League? How did that one go? Better than my week, I hope.
Yeah, so I had a pretty good start I did 86 points. So, and my captain was Harry Kane, 18 points. Pretty much everyone got a bit of a return except for Thuram and Sommer. My defense, my lowest point scorer was 7, Cancelo and Botman.
Look at you.
I had Henriks and Di Lorenzo. Bellingham and Sane with Thuram was my midfield, with Mbappe, Haaland and Kane as my strikers.
It's painful because I had so many of those players in my prior draft. Got rid of Kane, got rid of Sane. I think I'd said Heinrichs over Raum on all the podcasts I've been on. All went wrong for me. What are your ranks first?
So I'm quite happy that there's a Newcastle league now.
Yes.
But,
am I in it? I'm not in it.
99th in the Newcastle league.
I need to sort that out. I need to find that.
Yeah, join it. Yeah. In England, 1,116. Overall, 41,040.
I'm up to my worst ever start, ever, on this game.
Welcome to the world of us mortals.
309k is where I'm at. Yeah, that is my rank. Not how many points I scored, unfortunately. That'd be good, wouldn't it? 309,000 points.
Imagine what performance someone would have to have done to get that.
Just them Haaland 5 goals again. All my front three did get a return of some kind, although it was just not worth the price. Mbappe, Lewandowski 6, and Haaland were 5. So points per million were pretty dreadful. Thankfully, Bellingham captain coming in clutch. Otherwise, it would be in a total disaster. Cancelo, Di Lorenzo, Koundé did well for me. But the major issue was Thuram and DeMarco not starting out the blue. It looks like Simeone just took that game for granted. Sommer was always going to be a worse goalkeeper without DeMarco in front of him because he's just a much better defender than who was playing in there. And it also just you just don't want a back 5, back 6 to be broken up. And then Karim for Galatasaray. Best Bruno Fernandes impression I've ever seen in terms of points dodging. He could have had a hat-trick in 15, 20 minutes. And yet he's strolling away with a meager 2 points. You've let your team down. You've let me down. And then other players went off. The players that were discussed went off. Stengs, he had a great one. That's annoying. Raum and Hendricks both got returns. Frustrating. There's a couple of surprises out there that we didn't really quite see, like Felix. We did mention the only Porto player worth mentioning was said Galeno. He's on penalties and he comes away with 19 points. I do know a couple of people have messaged me saying, "Oh, thanks for the Galeno heads up," and I'm like, well, I wish I'd taken myself. I literally just heard he was on pens and he plays and he's worth that much money. I'll have him. So yeah, if you did go for Galeno, fair play.
You deserve it.
Yeah, you do deserve it. If you went for that, I think you absolutely deserve those points, and we don't. I think one of the issues with us doing these podcasts, I get a little bit scared to take risks like that. Like you feel like you've got to
Do well for the validity of the podcast.
Yeah, whereas it's just a bit annoying. I'm gonna try and do my own thing with my Limitless wildcard, and that brings us to this episode, which is a Limitless wildcard special. I think most people are playing one of two chips, the Limitless or the regular wildcard. I think we both agree that the Limitless is better. If you think differently, we will maybe try and mention some cheap players, which is fine.
A bit of a heads up. I'm currently not planning on playing either chip, but I do agree that the Limitless is better than the wild card, if that makes sense.
Got it. So you back your team then, do you?
I think when kind of looking at the fixtures, there's not many that kind of jump out. I'd rather have, for the same fixtures, do it in match day 5 when there's more rotation.
Okay, interesting. That's a gamble, but I suppose it depends on. I mean, we'll jump ahead. What are the early fixtures for match day 5? Shakhtar Antwerp and Lazio Celtic.
Oh, maybe not.
Seems like a good idea, Aaron. No. You do you. So let's jump into it. So we'll basically, the way that we normally do these, for anyone that hasn't seen it before, because it can struggle to wrap your head around, we're going to go by Tuesday fixtures for this podcast, and we'll do another one for the Wednesday. We are going to start with the early fixtures, but then round up their groups. So the first game we'll do will be Salzburg v Sociedad, but then we'll round up that group within v Benfica. And then we'll just work our way through after we've done the Berlin versus Braga game. It'll be the same for the Wednesday podcast as well. But we'll start with Salzburg versus Sociedad, 17:45.
UK time.
UK time, sorry, yes. That'll be 18:45 local time. I'm a man of the world, Aaron. Any early thoughts on this game? Because it seems like a bit of a tricky one.
I'm a bit annoyed that Real Sociedad couldn't hold on for the win against Inter. I think they were much the better team, and Inter were left scraping near the end, kind of ruin their mistakes. Although Inter came and got a couple of goals disallowed, offside, that kind of stuff. Annoyingly, Thuram was that goal scorer. But in terms of Real Sociedad, we saw that they are a team that we can't underestimate. Even though Salzburg are top of the table because of their earlier win, I do think that Real Sociedad are a team that, I don't know if Inter did it on purpose, where they tried to rotate to kind of take them for granted, being a pot 4 team, but they quickly learned that the Champions League standard of this team, even though they are weakened from last year, but there's still a quality side. In terms of this fixture being away, I don't think it's going to bother them too much. But their away form, it's not as good. They won against Real Betis at the start of the season, but then they drew 0-0 to Las Palmas and then lost to Real Madrid. So they're the only away game, so it's a small sample size, but it's not convincing.
Real Madrid,
and it's not as convincing. They drew against Atletico Madrid as well, 0-0,
which actually think is a good result.
That was very start of the season. But in terms of at home, 5-3, 4-3, wins, it's going to be high scoring at home.
0-0, guaranteed. Thank you, Aaron. They are a team that are conceding loads and scoring loads. They aren't the most glamorous team for a Limitless wildcard because the players are so cheap. Obviously, we've got Baranehia. That's with an X. Been practicing. I haven't actually been practicing. He's very, very cheap. But I think if you were going somewhere, my personal pick would be Kubo. he is a midfielder in real life, which is very annoying. But he's just their best player. I think when I watched them play, he got a goal at the weekend in a 4-3 win. Their striker did also score as well, so you might just want to go there because Kubo is a 5 million forward. He's a good budget pick. I can see him scoring against these, but they don't have any outstanding limitless players. Just A, for the price, but B, they don't have a talismanic figure. He's just probably their best player. Like when they score 4, they'll have 4 different goal scorers. It's a bit of an issue.
Means the ceiling isn't very high for a lot
Yeah.
of the players.
The points per million is great, but you're absolutely right. The ceiling isn't fantastic. I don't really like how the fixtures have fallen this year in terms of the Limitless. Like it feels like a horrible week to Limitless. It's just you kind of need to run away from horrible fixtures more than anything else.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wasn't too convinced with doing the Limitless on this match day. But I'd rather use this kind of match day when starting 11s, less rotation. If you are trying to capitalize on the most points, which we are all trying to do, seeing like we play this game. But if we're trying to get the players with the highest ceilings and then go back to the players that we had kind of agreed were the best at that price point, there are some like good punts and players that we wouldn't have been able to fit into normal teams that other people won't be able to, which we'll obviously talk about later in today's fixtures. But
yeah,
Real Sociedad, they play tomorrow night at the time we're recording. We're recording on Tuesday. They play Wednesday night away from home. So it'll be good to kind of see, was that statement correct or is it another Porto statement that I made earlier? So yeah, even though Real Sociedad, according to the betting odds, are the favourite to win.
Salzburg, they got off to a cracking start. I wasn't expecting that at all. Benfica are all over the place. They were really good, and it's hard to sort of bet against them when they're at home, which is why I'm surprised Sociedad are favourites.
Yeah.
But if we were going to go for a Salzburg player, again, this seems to be another one where you're probably going to want a forward. Simic is the one. The issue with going for anyone else, the issue with this game is that you back some of them to score, but you wouldn't fancy either team to keep a clean sheet based on how good the other team is at attacking and how not great both teams are at defending. I mean, Salzburg are better at defending than Sociedad. So if you had to go for a clean sheet, I would go for them. But I think Sociedad are better at attacking. So I like the fact this is a 17:45 fixture from a football point of view. Just get to watch it. And I think this is going to be a very exciting game. I think both games have got like a little bit of something about them actually for the 17:45s. But I'm really actually looking forward to watching Salzburg versus Sociedad. I think that's going to be a really good game. And there's undoubtedly going to be points knocking around somewhere, but it's so hard to identify who's going to get them. And do you really want one of your forward spots going on Simic? Do you?
I guess it will kind of identify that as we go through the other forwards.
Yes. At the minute, my answer is a bit of a no, and it's because I'm only allowed 3 of them. If Kubo was a midfielder, he'd be in my team, even at 5 million on a Limitless. The issue is he's a forward, so his value just... How am I meant to get him in?
Especially as a Limitless when
Yeah.
you don't... Yeah, we don't have to worry about budget.
It's a bit of a nightmare. And then if you are in a normal wildcard, Kubo's a no because... Well, maybe he's not a no with Benfica.
Depends on the amount of premium midfielders and defenders you get, because kind of the make up of your team, I think for most people, is a lot of money or as much as you can into your forwards, or at least 2 of the forward spots. But it's who do you spend the money on elsewhere? If he's 5 million, there isn't a great amount of premium midfielders that were like desperate to get into our team. Premium defenders, there are quite a few 6 millions that I would be like, oh, I'd like to have them in my team and take a headache away. But I don't know if having an array of 6 million defenders is better than having one premium forward. It's an interesting...
I'm going to look at this as well. I'm going to try to be open-minded, Aaron. in terms of looking at it from a wild card perspective as well. So I am going to try and look at it as if I was going to play a wild card. And I think if I was to play a wild card, then Kubo could be a shout because there are premium midfielders that you might want to go in on because of the next 3 fixtures. It just depends on how you want to set up. You might obviously need to use free transfers within there. But I'm looking at like Arsenal players, for example. They're great for the rest of the group. Absolutely great. And then you even look at Man United players and you say, well, actually, the hardest is gone. Bayern players are good for anyone, anytime. So you can build up a team if you wanted to go for a standard wild card. You might not be able to optimize it perfectly, but it is something to keep in mind. I'm going to keep an open mind about using them both. If I was to play a wild card, it'd be Kubo. If I'm playing a Limitless, I don't think I'm going either.
Fair.
On to the next game of the group, Inter versus Benfica. Talk to us about Inter.
So Inter won again on the weekend and kept another clean sheet. So that, as it stands, they've only conceded 1 goal in the league. I think they had a bit of a shock against Real Sociedad, but I don't know what happened there. I don't know why they played a weakened team in the Champions League.
Insane.
That makes no sense. I don't think there was many battle wounds or anything like that from the Milan derby, especially when they won 5-1. I don't know why they kind of did that. But like you said, it severely weakened their chances. DeMarco, an unbelievable goal. If you haven't seen it, it's worth definitely watching. In terms of the team, Pavard again played, Acerbi played, Bastoni was substituted off, but I think that was just tactical for De Vrij. DeMarco came back on. It was weird seeing Alexis Sanchez back. I didn't realize he came back to Inter. But Thuram, Lautaro both started up front. But Darmian was the right wing back.
Yeah,
But I think Dumfries was probably just rested.
Yeah.
I don't know what his average distance is per match, but it must be insane.
Nah, he never leaves the opponent's box.
Yeah, that's true. I think an interesting game will be Sassuolo, though, tomorrow at the time of recording. Although I do believe that Inter will win, Sassuolo have been upsetting a lot of teams lately, beating Juventus 4-2, and just performing really, really well. Kind of recently with Berardi coming back into the team. When Napoli beat them earlier in the year, Berardi wasn't fully fit. And they had a red card, but they absolutely destroyed Juventus, which we know it's not the same standard, but it'll be really interesting to see because they're on a run of great form. Yeah.
In terms of picks from this team, I think at home to Benfica, despite their howler themselves against Salzburg, and it is worth noting that Silva's suspended. Obviously, got sent off, so he misses a game. That really, really weakens Benfica's defense. I know that they were down to 10 men, which says a lot about the scoreline. Perhaps they'll have 11, but whoever comes in just isn't as good. I think he's their best centre back. I know Otamendi's the most experienced, maybe a slightly better asset. Who knows? But I think in terms of being an actual player, I think Silva is their best defender. And with that, you'd fancy Lautaro. I don't think if you're going on a Limitless, I don't think you need Thuram. I think if you're going on a wild card, Thuram could be the better option just because he's more budget friendly. But would you fancy Lautaro Martinez to score against Benfica?
I mean, in the form that he's in, it'd be hard not to go for him. I think the biggest thing with Lautaro is that he is such a troll.
Yes, he is. He watches this podcast.
100%. Yeah, he does. He does. I think that with Lautaro, he is going to be a really good budget well, not budget, but like for a Limitless option if Mbappe is injured. Lewandowski away to Porto. Obviously, he didn't perform to the standard that everyone was expecting for last match day. Lautaro's playing on the first day. Could be a sneaky captain.
Yeah.
If it depends how punty you go, and if you don't want to go Bayern or Man United.
I'm the captain and a fullback. Try and stop me.
Dumfries or DeMarco?
Well, that's the next question. Good segue. Dumfries or DeMarco? You can't go both, in my opinion. Not for Benfica. The last time they played each other in Milan, because Inter's not a place, it was a 3-3. Prior to that, they played in Lisbon, and it was 2-0 to Inter Milan. So I personally back Inter to win this game. But how confident I am of a clean sheet is a very different story. Are you confident of a clean sheet, first of all? In which one would you go for, DeMarco or Dumfries, or would you go for both?
I would always kind of say DeMarco more than Dumfries. I think DeMarco's kind of, if you look at where their floor and ceiling is, DeMarco's floor is still really, really high. Dumfries's is not that good. I think DeMarco is a much better defender. He assists. He'll probably get one assist, but it's more often.
Yeah.
It seems to be in big games as well. And he scored more recently. Obviously, Dumfries didn't play, so you can't really say that. But Dumfries, I think his ceiling is the biggest out of any Inter player.
Yeah.
If they do get a clean sheet,
And he scores.
yeah, that's a ridiculously high number. But I just think DeMarco is overall a better player. But the risk with DeMarco is he's probably going to get subbed 70th minute. So that will either secure the clean sheet or really limit his points potential. But I would go DeMarco personally.
We've got the summer dilemma again, 4.5 million. Is that an option?
For most people, wild card or not playing a chip, I think he has to stay in your team. He's the best. Keep it at that price point, I think, regardless of the fixture.
Yep.
For a limitless, though, we do need to kind of look at the other kind of matches from this day. I know we've identified a few potential goalkeepers, and we'll talk about them later in the episode. I still think he's up there for me.
Yeah.
I think if I was to use the limitless card, I do think he's the best keeper on the first day, just based on Inter's defensive stats.
Benfica, is anyone that we should be looking at from them other than the obvious? I'd say the two obvious are Di Maria and Rafa Silva. Both forwards on the game, unfortunately. Are they worthy of a forward spot when we're talking about Inter's goalkeeper and Inter's defenders?
I think the biggest indicator will be based on their game on Friday against Porto. Obviously, Champions League standard teams that clash. But Bard did score on Sunday, like you said. So, and I know a lot of people...
He's turned into a bit of a troll as well for some people. He's very Rasmus Christensen.
Yeah.
Score in the league, not in the Champions League. He's good last year.
It is hard to predict this team. I don't know if it was just resting or what, but Di Maria wasn't on the bench. So let me just quickly look, making sure that he's not injured.
If he is injured, then that is just
boosted Inter's clean sheet potential.
Yes, it has. And then who knows? Maybe you do go for a double defense. Scares me personally.
No, I would be too scared.
But I think, do you not think Inzaghi's going to be like...
According, it was just a knock.
Do you think Inzaghi's going to be like, look, we've learned my lesson, yeah. We've got away with 1-2-0, shut up shop, be tight, job done.
Thing is, I think he tried to do that against Real Sociedad.
Goodness me.
Or
by not starting one of your best defenders?
He's always been wary of DeMarco's minutes. And that's why I was so surprised when he played the full 90 against Man City in the Champions League. But I do think he was Inter's best player against Man City.
He was. It's I think he probably manages him because he knows he doesn't have anyone to cover that spot, so he needs him for every game.
Mhm.
Whereas in the final, it was like, that's it, it's the last game of the season. He's fine for 90 minutes now. But not starting him is just crazy.
Yeah.
We've not really done it. We'll go back. Salzburg v Sociedad. What do you think the score's going to be for that one, by the way?
I think Sociedad will win 2-1.
I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. Inter versus Benfica.
I'll back the clean sheet. I'm going to back Sommer. And I wasn't considering a double up, but I do think Di Maria will be back. But I'm going to go 1-0. Thuram goal.
I'm going to go... but none of us have gotten... I'm going to go 2-1 Inter.
So you're not going to back the clean sheet?
No, but that's what DeMarco attacking returns. You don't get DeMarco for clean sheets. I probably want to captain him as well. Not even back in the clean sheet. YOLO. Next game, early kickoff, Berlin versus Braga. Not much to say about this, I don't think. Gosens for Berlin? Yeah or nay?
Yeah, I think that if you did want to bring in Gersons, this is the game to do it. You can guarantee he's going to be starting. You see the lineup, and I mean he's in good form.
Yeah, I lied, by the way. This is my captain on the first day.
There's a what?
I lied, by the way. This is my captain on the first day.
Gersons.
Yeah. If I'm on a Limitless wild card and I've got Robin Gersons on a Tuesday early fixture,
That could like ruin your whole match day. It could.
Tuesday, I'll have a captain on a Wednesday.
Okay, but it could ruin your Tuesday. You could be looking at all these other games. Actually, by looking at you, it'd probably be the Arsenal game. You'd be
literally going to say there's 2 games where you go, actually, you should captain someone else. And that's Bayern versus Copenhagen and Arsenal versus. And it's like, but Bayern don't have any fullbacks I want. Yeah, why not? Why not play the game properly? I mean, Harry Kane against Copenhagen or Sané. It is quite scary, to be fair. Not captaining one of those. Who knows? I might drop it. But at the minute,
we'll see what the group chat tempts you into.
It's a terrible captaincy shout.
I thought you were going to say it's a terrible group chat. Sorry, guys.
It's just the old days, Aaron. We're too commercial now. So
too mainstream. The studio's getting to our heads.
So yeah, I want the glory days back of Angelino and Tagliafico. I want Grimaldo's 20 points from last year, Aaron. Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. But I am thinking about Gersons. In terms of Braga, it's frighteningly enough, the 2 players that you'd pick are 2 attackers.
It's typical in fantasy football, isn't it?
Horta and Banza. Horta's an 8 million forward. He actually plays midfield, attacking midfielder. And Banza's a 6.5 million forward. Both of them scored at the weekend for Braga. That's the thing. Berlin aren't they playing great? I think they drew at the weekend. I think, but Braga, I'm sure, won 4-1.
They lost on the weekend.
They lost at the weekend.
2-0.
2-0. It wasn't anything like 1-1.
So that's 4 losses in a row for Berlin.
Oh, I'm not going to captain Gosens. Probably might not even have him in the team now.
So they lost 3-0 to Leipzig, 2-1 to Wolfsburg, 1-0 to Real Madrid, 2-0 to Hoffenheim. They play Heidenheim on Saturday. So away from home. But I think this is, if I'm correct in saying this is going to be Union Berlin's first ever Champions League home match. So I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and I still think Gersons is a good shout.
Yeah.
I don't think captaincy, but I do think he's a good shout.
Okay. You might have wound my neck in a bit. But we've got to show a bit of respect to Braga. They won 4 at the weekend.
Oh yeah, they're a good team. They beat Sporting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've got to show them a bit of attention. The problem is, it's their talisman or their
It's again that Horta, I think, would be a great pick on Limitless at 8 million. If he was a midfielder, you go, yeah. But as a forward, oh my goodness me. Not in this game. And that's the problem. Banza obviously is a forward in real life, so that's fine, 6.5 million. But that's what we've kind of got to be going with. And then do you want them on a regular wild card? No. Because they've got Real Madrid. You might want them on a wild card, got Real Madrid next. So I think they've been positioned out of the game. There's so many random forwards on this game that are actually midfielders. And it's just a bit of a shame. I think that a lot of players have just been blocked because of it. Are you any extra thoughts on this?
No, I think Union Berlin. I'm just falling in love with the fairy tale. I think Braga, you definitely have to pay attention to them because they give Napoli a really good game. But I'm going to go with a 2-1 Union Berlin with Gerson scoring 2 goals. No, I wish. But I do think he'll get an attacking return, or he'll be very involved with the attack and play. Yeah. And for 5 million defender, there's not too many other options who are going to be that attacking.
Yeah, and for this is it. It's Tuesday's punty picking. That's what I like about him. Is that it could go disastrously wrong, could go unbelievably right. Doesn't matter. So I think he's going to be my team. It's going to be my team for all time's sake. I think you might swear us on the captaincy shout. If he gets 2, then I haven't captained Malin. I'll have you. But I think it's be 2-2. Horta and Banzao, the goal each. But not enough to get in my team, unfortunately, not in Limitless. Napoli versus Hala Madrid.
Where do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, I'll let you talk about Napoli, and then I'll laugh at Real Madrid.
So Napoli drew 0-0 to Bologna. A little bit of controversy in terms of the Osimhen getting subbed off and like kind of the arguments on the sideline. I do just think that it was because it was such a close game. Napoli, they didn't play too convincingly against Braga. It took a almost last minute own goal to win. And Braga had the majority of possession and stuff like that, even though Napoli created more chances. I think that since the Lazio defeat, he's been trying to tweak things because they've drew 2-2 to Genoa. They won 2-1 to Braga and drew 0-0. So that is, at least in the league, it's 3 games in a row that they've not won. They're hoping to change that tomorrow against Udinese. They play Lecce on the weekend, or Lecce, sorry. And so at least we have 2 games to kind of go off. I think the biggest question is Cravadonna on Limitless. We were speaking about it before recording. With Real Madrid's defensive injuries and everyone they're really trying to force the ball to Cravadonna. I do think that he might be a good Tuesday punt.
Yeah, so
even though there's no stats to back that up, it's just
it's all vibes. Carvajal thinks injured for this game, so it'll be Lucas Vazquez at right back most likely. Nacho could play there, but either way, you'd back Cavaradonna against a Real Madrid fullback when Real Madrid aren't playing well, and that fullback's probably going to be very isolated with how Real Madrid play at the minute with that diamond shape. I just see them getting over in midfield and no wide protection for the fullback, and Cavaradonna is just going to rip them apart. It makes Osimhen a better pick if you did want to go for him. I'd still go to Lorenzo anyway because it's Tuesday and he's 5.5 million. I just think he's class. Like
He was almost on for a massive haul before that Braga goal.
Where is he in best right backs in the world?
I would say top 10, maybe not top 5.
Interesting. You don't think he's top 5? I would have put him
I
around.
don't, that's just me trying to think on the top of my head.
I would have said around 5-ish, if not even higher. Like I think the thing is for that you go right.
It would be.
five better right backs.
I think that would be the thing is how you would then value the right back. Is it defensive and attacking qualities? Because I think in the consensus, I think people would still say that they prefer like a Reece James.
I think Reece James is unbelievable going forward and Matt's just injured all the time.
Yeah.
I think Lorenzo's better than
Would
him.
people say Cancelo or Hakimi are better than him?
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't personally, but I think the consensus of people would.
Yeah, but what do you think?
What do I think? I would say I don't think he's top 5. I would say but I would say 6th.
6th. Who are the 5 better than him then? Kyle Walker.
Kyle Walker, Trippier.
Okay.
I'm a Trent Alexander-Arnold truther. So
Lorenzo's a better fullback than Trent Alexander. Trent's better at
he's a midfielder now as well. Yeah, you know what? Actually, he's.
That's all I mean. Like, who else maybe Philip Lam if you ever played there. Not Philip Lam. He retired.
I was like, is he?
I meant his regen. His football manager regen. Joshua Kimmich is who I actually meant to say. If he was at right back, then he's an unbelievable. Right
Yeah.
Back. You'd probably have to play there for a season again. There are some really good right backs, but I think he's got to be top 5 right backs in the world.
Yeah. Let us know what you think in the comments.
If you say he's not, I want you to list the defenders that are better than him. It's a combination of offensively and defensively. Like Hakimi's class going forward, he is rubbish at defending. He's an unbelievably good wing back, but he's not a great full back. Judging by how many goals Paris Saint-Germain ship on a regular basis as well. And he's always been that way. Same with Cancelo. Cancelo's a failed winger that can't quite play right back, in my opinion. That's harsh, I know, but that's not biased. In terms, I think Di Lorenzo Cavadona. I like this. You're not going for Kvaratskhelia if, in my opinion, if you're on a wild card. I think this is a limitless punt, 9.5 million. Ideal Tuesday could go off and is likely a differential.
And the likelihood is when people are watching this, they'll have the game tomorrow and the weekend. He almost grabbed the ball for a penalty that they had. I think VAR might have ruled it out. I'm not 100% sure. Potentially.
I might be wrong.
There was some debate over the penalty, but all I remember seeing all over is Kvaratskhelia should have he had the ball in his hands and the ball was taken off him. And I do believe that if a player like that is in low confidence, but is feeling confident enough to maybe grab the penalty, just let him take it.
All right. But actually, no, because he'll miss. Sod will miss. He's not a very good pen taker. There's a reason why he shouldn't be on pens.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, it seemed to be the consensus that they should have let him took the pen.
Yeah.
Because he's on that streak of not scoring.
Real Madrid. Dun, dun, dun. These got beat 3-1 at the weekend off Atletico Madrid. And they had a lot of the ball, but they just aren't very good at the minute. They laboured against Union Berlin. I mean, I think Berlin did make it tough. We said that they would make it tough, but without finding really anything going the other way. So I think on a Limitless, this is your time to come away from Jude Bellingham. I think if you're on a wild card, you definitely keep them. Comes in clutch. And if you are on a Limitless, you can't have him. You could easily score in this game, but he'd be my 5th choice midfielder, I think. I think I'm going to set my team up how I want it, and then look, does Jude fit in? Is that okay? Because he is brilliant. He's the best player on that team with Vinicius Junior out. As far as I'm aware, Vinicius Junior is just missed out the other night against Atletico Madrid, but he's not great in that position that he's playing at the minute. So they're playing with two up front that sort of split to allow Jude to come in from 10 into it's like a support striker, false 9 kind of position. But that doesn't suit Vinicius Junior. Vinicius Junior is a winger, wants to pick the ball, wants to run in behind, he wants to create havoc, cause problems from the left hand side. Well, an elite forward like Benzema's creating all kinds of space and is dragging everyone away. I think Ancelotti's getting it all wrong at the minute, and Jude Bellingham is actually outperforming because of that. I think he's the one with any kind of instinct in the box to score a goal. It probably needs to change, but for the time being, if you've got him, you can keep him. But I don't know if he's going to be on my Limitless.
The Real Madrid injury list, I think, obviously with being so big at the moment, just from reading and kind of where everyone's at, by the time of, who knows, by the weekend, a lot more people could be in training. So, like, for example, Carvajal, he might be training, so he could be in contention for the match, especially with it being such a big match. But I think the thing that Napoli will have in their favour is obviously being at home, but also the fact that Real Madrid, even if the player is playing, they're probably not going to play the full 90. Like if Carvajal comes in, his first game back straight from injury is to try and stop Kvaratskhelia dribbling past you. I don't think you can do that for a full 90 based on the injury that he had. I think it was an ankle injury. I'm not 100% sure. That's not what you want. So I think there is going to be substitutions. I think that's going to be quite hard to kind of guess. Jude Bellingham is, I still think, the best. I currently have Tuchemeni still in my team. He did get 4 points before his yellow card. And he got subbed off pretty early into the second half, I believe. But I think in terms of ball recoveries, he got a lot in the. I think it averaged out about 1 every 10 minutes before he was subbed. Recovery. So he would have potentially, if he stayed on for the full 90 and didn't pick up the yellow card, three extra points. Yeah. But it's not enough for it. So I had him in my team as a second day safety blanket in case anybody from the first day had 1 point. But I didn't even have to bring him off the bench. So it was just kind of, he's going to get me more than 2 points. But on the first day, you don't want them kind of players. You want the defensive midfielder to come on the second day to kind of just, for example, if a Thuram situation happens on the first day where, he didn't play the full 90, he didn't really do much. Here's my defensive midfielder to get me 5 points or something like that.
What do you think the score's going to be for this? We're not recommending any of the Real Madrid players, are we?
No. I do think that a few people that I've seen and chatted to on Twitter, though, have Rodrigo. But I think very well. No. I think Rodrigo is similar to the Vinicius role, where they needed that elite forward to create the running lanes. He's a right winger. Yeah. Although he's a winger. But I think he's still a very good player. Yeah, he is. But I don't know how he'll do. Yeah, I think he'll have more success though against Napoli playing against their left side compared to. Yeah, absolutely. But I still don't think he's a great option as a forward spot. But I've seen him in a few teams, which I think is interesting. But in terms of, I think it's Bellingham or nothing.
What's the score?
I'm going to double down on the Cravadonna. I think it's going to be 3-1.
Oh, I'm glad I did that first on camera so that you knew I wasn't copying you this time.
Fair play.
3-1.
To Napoli?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll try and fly through some of these fixtures because some of them seem pretty one-sided from now on. We've got two sort of evenish, two one-sided ones.
Should we get the easy ones out? The ones that we are Plzeňas.
Yeah, so Copenhagen versus Bayern. Copenhagen's a Plzeňa. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Bayern, we can talk about this really quickly. Everyone's injured in defence. I mean,
At the time of recording, like,
think of a Bayern defender injured. Now think of another one. Yeah, injured. So they've got De Ligt injured, Upamecano injured, Kim injured. So that's all three of their good centre backs. And I went down to Upamecano. So that's a bit of an issue for them. Muller is injured, or he's not a defender, but that probably makes things easier. Because you know that
do you want to know what their back four was today?
Yes, please.
Lema, right back.
Konrad Lema, the midfielder, right back, fantastic.
Mazraoui, centre back.
The right back, centre back, fantastic.
Goretzka as the other centre back. And Alphonso Davies as the left back, but got
attacking of the four of them.
but he got substituted off for Guerrero.
All right, so which Copenhagen forward are we picking then?
Copenhagen, I think, surprised a few people.
Yeah,
I think people were expecting just from like we were all expecting a Galatasaray like Icardi performance. Little trolls.
I'm telling you, man, it's those Argentinians that are famous for playing in Italy. Trolls, a lot of them. Dybala, Lautaro Martinez,
Maradona.
Oh, bloody Maradona! What did he ever do?
How many points has he got in this game?
How many Champions League points did he get? But Bayern, I just think it triple up. Kane, Sané, Musiala, job done. Gnabry's injured. Gnabry got injured today, I believe. So obviously this could change. This is, as Aaron said out 5 times to cover my arses. It's at the time of recording, which is
A full week.
10 to 10.
A full week before.
So we are doing this a week before because Aaron's selfish and going away for the weekend or something like that. So there is a week to recover, but Gnabry's just been injured. If Gnabry's not injured, I'd say Kane, Sané, Gnabry. That'd be my triple on Limitless. But yeah, Kane, Sané, Musiala. I just think get all 3 of them. Don't mess around. And yeah, actually probably captain one of them because Bayern just score loads of goals, loads of them.
Harry Kane. If my team stays as it is currently with no chip, Harry Kane's my first day captain.
Yeah, what, he got a hat-trick and 2 assists at the weekend. 7-0 win against Bochum, who are not, I mean, with Joe, but they did actually draw with Dortmund earlier this season. So, the other game in that group, Man United versus Galatasaray, Casemiro, the couple of goals. He's got another one tonight against Palace. Basically, I've graded and cursed him by saying that he used to be a goal threat for Real Madrid, and that's no longer the case. But he seems to be back with a bang. Can you see anyone going for Casemiro? Is he a better Tuchel?
For 0.5 more, I would say no.
But he gets goals. Tuchel ain't getting goals. That's against England.
But then I wouldn't say that because they're not the same price point. So I would say
0.5 difference is
okay. Oh, sorry, forgot to talk about Limitless. Yeah, Casemiro's better.
right. I still don't know if I'll be going there. On Limitless, you kind of do 4 recovery beasts, especially on the first day.
No, your first day needs to be all the highest ceilings possible.
But I think Bruno. I've actually written Bruno G here. It's Bruno F, but it's because I can only write down the best Bruno. Bruno F, fake Bruno, that's what the F stands for. 9.5 million, penalty taker, came clutch at the weekend. I think he's got to be in our thoughts over a Rashford, especially with Rashford being a forward. I think I'll be having Bruno Fernandes in my team against Galatasaray, who look a bit shaky, and Bruno's just absolutely minted football, let's be honest. As much as I don't like the little rat, he's an unbelievable footballer. And I think he's arguably been head and shoulders above every single other person at Man United team this season. He is a bit of a points dodger, but it's a Tuesday, and you can afford to have a points dodger on a Tuesday because you can just sort them out for the Wednesday. I've also not mentioned too many goalkeepers up until this point, and I think Onana is legitimately a fairly good shout against Galatasaray because they look toothless. Obviously, they struggled against Copenhagen. They got a bit lucky in the end. I know that Man United haven't been too great defensively, but they did keep a clean sheet. The last time I checked, they were keeping a clean sheet against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, it's 3-0.
3-0. Icardi's a troll, which means probably going to score. But that Arda, it's not Arda. The what's he called? I've got him in my team.
The cheap midfielder.
Acticoglu, but I cannot pronounce that surname. Karem Acticoglu. He got a hat-trick in the first 15-20 minutes. I mentioned it earlier. 6 million. I've got him in my team at the minute. I think I want to take him out and maybe go on Anna. But then there is one other shout, I think, for goalkeeper. So Sommer or Nana are two of the three goalkeepers for me personally on this day. What about any other things on Man United Galatasaray?
I was checking how many ball recoveries Bruno has because he gets a sneaky amount. He was on 6. I remember people trying to complain about that, but he got knocked down to 5. But still, as an attacking midfielder, that is quite a lot. It probably is the fact that he has to drop so deep to kind of help out Casemiro. Mason Mount did start as the other defensive midfielder today against Crystal Palace, so it's good to see him playing football again. But I just think to kind of back the Bruno shout that he does get a sneaky ball recoveries just to bring that floor a little bit safer.
What's the score? Oh, we didn't do the score for the Bayern game. What's the score for the Bayern game going to be?
4-0.
Nah.
Alphonso Davies clean sheet.
5-2 to Bayern. Bayern aren't keeping the clean sheet in this game. No chance. 5-2. It's Plazenia all over again. This was that game was 4-2, wasn't it? With what Harry Kane.
Yeah.
5-2.
Yeah, because then all of a sudden we're considering their cheap goalkeeper as an option, aren't we? Yeah. I'll change it to 4-1.
4-1. Man United versus Galatasaray. Score.
2-1 Man United.
I'm going to go 2-0 Man United. I don't think Galatasaray have been playing that well. I think they've been getting results and not been playing well. Which sometimes is a sign of a good team, but sometimes your luck's going to run out. On to the last group, which I actually think is maybe the first group. I'm so lost now. I think it's the second.
Group B.
No. Versus Arsenal. Plazenia and Long?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Love it. Arsenal, everyone plays FPL. Let's make this really easy. Odegaard, 9 million, get him in your team. Saka, he's fit. If we find out that he is fit, I know that he's probably missing like the midweek games and stuff. Get him in your team. And then I think your last choice is a choice. Out of safety, I think you go Saliba at 5.5 because he's the most nailed of that defence. Or you go David Raya as another goalkeeper option. Now, will Ramsdale play? Who knows? But I think Ramsdale might get this League Cup game. And then, as much as Arteta wants to rotate, I think this will be Raya's top. Raya's is a better goalkeeper. He's better at 1v1s. He's better from crosses. He's better with his feet. He's just a better goalkeeper. So I think my goalkeeper on Limitless for match day, for the first game day, match day 2, is going to be David Raya, I think.
I think when you look at a wild card and you're looking at Sommer versus Raya, obviously Raya is a little bit more expensive, but I think Raya has confirmed himself as the most trusted goalkeeper for Arsenal. So when you look at Arsenal's fixtures, I do think that they look better if you were to wild card.
I agree. He's a wild. But then, who knows? I think still, I've got Salzburg next for 2 games, haven't they?
But Salzburg are just all out attack.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would say Raya is the goalkeeper to if you're doing a wild card, I think he's going to be your goalkeeper for this day.
Yes. Score?
I think Arsenal will win 3-0.
Same. I didn't do this to the camera this time, unfortunately, but it is the same. I just don't like it, Aaron. I just don't like it. PSV versus Sevilla. Last game.
I was a bit disappointed with PSV last match.
Yeah, they got battered, didn't they? But I thought Arsenal were excellent. At the same time, I think it was less of how bad were PSV, how good were Arsenal.
Yeah. It shows how far Arsenal have come.
Yeah, and how much money they've spent. And I don't mean that in terms of, you spent Newcastle, how much money you spent? I just mean how much the Premier League spends versus the Eredivisie.
I'd still say that they developed their players. Saka?
They have developed the players, but they've also spent 60 million on goalkeepers.
Yeah, like I'm not saying they don't spend, but I would say the players like Saka and
35 million on Zinchenko. How much did they spend on Partey? 45, 50 million? How much?
too much. He shouldn't.
Something
Yeah.
on Declan Rice, really good development.
I didn't say they developed all their players.
Gabriel Jesus. Actually, don't know who's he. He might be on free actually. I think Arsenal have spent the most money other than like Man City or something, or other than Man United. I think they spent a lot of money. But either way, that's not having to go at them. Every team in the Premier League. It's my biggest gripe when people say, "Oh, you spent all this money." Every team in the Premier League spent loads of money. Nottingham Forest came up and spent like 150 million.
Spent more money than Real Madrid.
Yeah, like get a grip of your life. It's the Premier League. They all spend a bucket of money except for Brighton. So it's not me calling out Arsenal at all. It's just there is clearly a financial gap between Arsenal and PSV. And I don't think that gap's going to be there for PSV and Sevilla, which is why I think we're going to have a much better game. Also, PSV at home, we saw like Newcastle were really good last year, and we saw how they were dominated by Milan away. I just think that happens. It's been a little while for PSV. They're up against Arsenal. I expect them to be much better in this game, and I will have one PSV player in my Limitless wildcard team. If I was wildcarding, I would probably have 2.
Wow.
I would have Veerman, who's a midfielder, really cheap, and I'd have Luke de Jong, because I think Mbappe is injured against us. And I don't know how long he's going to be out for, and then they might do all right against Milan. But I think there's a little bit of room up front with the fixtures coming up. And I think Luke de Jong and Veerman are just 2 class players, and I think we're going to do a bit of the Stengs Jimenez job. And that is one thing, obviously, if you are waiting a wild card for the future, Feyenoord fixtures with Jimenez up front could be an option. We'll have to have a look at that in the next podcast. But I think Veerman will be in my Limitless wildcard team. Luke de Jong may not, but Veerman will be. I just think he's absolutely brilliant, and I back him to score against Sevilla, who did win at the weekend 3-1, but they didn't. They won tonight 3-1. I'm losing my mind. They didn't even win 3-1. I'm totally losing my mind. They won 5-1, Aaron.
We've reached that point already.
We have reached that point. Shoot me. They won 5-1 tonight. And Naziri just seems to be their best pick. But again, is he getting a goal or a red card? Is a big question I ask myself every time I see him play.
It's what I ask when I play.
Whether you're getting a goal or you've never seen a red card in your life.
Yeah, I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
You're a nasty football, Aaron. You haven't seen like a nasty football.
No, I
Trip over yourself and you're the last man.
and you accuse me of diving.
Yes, you are a diver. You are always letting it go down. 2 yellows for you. God's watching, Aaron. Anything on Sevilla PSV? I would not recommend any of the Sevilla players personally.
No, I think you've covered it.
Sweet. What's the score going to be?
1-1.
I'm going to go 3-1 PSV.
Fair.
Yeah, except for when they win 5, when I'm like, oh, I got it quite wrong. My head's all over the place. No, I think it's going to be 3-1. That's that in a already a stage of delirium.
We've got one more episode.
We've got one more episode to record after this, so
Subscribe.
that could be nonsense. We'll probably not go into it as much depth just with the main Wednesday fixtures. So I think there's going to be quite a few Plazenias for the Wednesday fixtures. So this is definitely the longer of the two.
I think just a bonus question for those that have stuck around. How many, if you are making a Limitless team, how many match day one Tuesday players do you look to have in the makeup of your team?
Minimum 9, absolute bare minimum. If you can get 11 and be happy with it, that's great. Obviously, it is fixture dependent. Looking at the fixtures for the next day, thankfully, I don't think there's anything that's super juicy where you're like, oh, I need them in. So for general Limitless, it does totally depend on the fixtures. For this particular one, genuinely think you could get away with 11 first day players. I'd say at least 9 at the very, very minimum. Obviously, you want your 2 goalkeepers playing on different days. What about you?
No, I would say about 8 or 9.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you've got 8, it means obviously you've got 7 playing the next day, and I think that's a lot.
Because there's so much uncertainty at the moment. Injuries, rotation. Yeah. There's a lot of big games on the weekend after. So like some of these teams that we've talked about are playing like rivals for the top 4 like the next weekend. So they'll have an eye on that and then look to play some of the bigger teams when they're rotating.
I think you have a minimum of 7 in the sense that realistically you should be getting triple Bayern, you should be getting triple Arsenal, and a goalkeeper. And unless you goalkeeper, let's say you did go Ryland, that's 6 just off 2 teams. And then you do have I'll have a Villamin, for example, but then you're probably going to have a Napoli player. You're probably going to have
Bruno.
Gosens. Yeah, you're going to limit this. You're probably going to get Bruno Fernandes for his money. And you're probably going to have a player. You're at 9 or something there already. So it's really easy to get that balance right. Thank you so much for listening to us. We've stopped listening to each other. I absolutely guarantee you that. Please don't forget to like this, whether you did or you didn't. I guarantee you didn't. Subscribe not only to us, but to
the Gallagher shots as well. Just knocked my mic. That was very professional. And we will see you next time. Bye now.